At the direction of the President of the United States, fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command successfully took down a high-altitude airborne object off the northern coast of Alaska at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, within U.S. sovereign airspace over U.S. territorial water. On February 9, North American Aerospace Defense Command detected an object on ground radar and further investigated and identified the object using fighter aircraft. The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight. U.S. Northern Command is beginning recovery operations now. U.S. Northern Command's Alaska Command coordinated the operation with assistance from the Alaska Air National Guard, Federal Aviation Administration, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We have no further details about the object at this time, including any description of its capabilities, purpose, or origin. The object was about the size of a small car, so not similar in size or shape to the high-altitude surveillance balloon that was taken down off the coast of South Carolina on February 4.
This is my first video update from Nicosia, Cyprus on this Saturday. Let's talk about UFOs, shooting down UFOs, and that is what Biden did yesterday. He gave the order to the U.S. military to shoot down an object flying over Alaska, and the military acted on those orders from Biden, and they shot down this object. All we know at the moment is that this was an object, an unidentified flying object, a UFO. And Biden gave the orders, and the military, they acted right away on those orders to shoot down this object, because when it comes to U.S. President Joe Biden, when he gives an order, the U.S. military acts on those orders. And Joe Biden, while he is President of the United States, will always protect the airspace of the United States of America. That is the message. That is the narrative. Forget about everything that happened last week. Forget about the balloon. Forget about that balloon going across the entire United States. Forget about Biden giving the order, allegedly giving the order to shoot down the balloon on a Wednesday, and the military ignoring that order and shooting the balloon down 2 to 3 days later. Forget about all of that stuff. The new narrative is that when Biden gives an order to shoot down an object, the military shoots down that object. And when it comes to U.S. airspace, Biden will protect U.S. airspace. That is the new narrative. Biden is shooting down UFOs. He's shooting down balloons. Allegedly, he's blowing up pipelines. The guy's a real wrecking ball, isn't he? He is a real wrecking ball. And the media is still not talking about the pipeline. They are just not reporting on Cy Hirsch's article about the Nord Stream sabotage. We actually have a statement from Germany, and I think this is the first official statement from Germany with regards to the article from Cy Hirsch. And I quote, "The German government does not have data confirming the conclusions of the American publicist Seymour Hersh about the explosions on the Nord Stream and Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. The Cabinet of Ministers of Germany." That is the statement coming out of Germany. That is some pretty weak sauce denial right there. That is a pretty weak denial from Germany. I wonder if the Nord Stream article from Hirsch is being read in Germany. I wonder if it's being shared and distributed and making the rounds in Germany, or if it's being memory holed. What would have happened if, let's just say, if it was Trump that was president of the United States and he gave the order to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline? What would the mainstream media have done in that instance? On the one hand, it's Trump, and you're going to want to promote this story 24 hours on the news cycle. You're going to want to talk about this story nonstop because it's Trump blowing up the pipeline. of the US ally, Germany, critical infrastructure of Germany. So you're going to want to just talk about this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and demonize Trump. But on the flip side, the mainstream media would probably say, yeah, but we're benefiting Putin if we do that. So maybe it's just best to memory hole this story and to not play into Putin's "we were provoked" narrative. That would be a tough one for the collective West media, wouldn't it? Trump or Putin? Putin or Trump? Which one do we choose? But since it's Biden, the choice is pretty simple. Just memory hole the article. Don't talk about it. Just pretend it doesn't exist. Say that Seymour Hersh was just some kind of publicist, a blogger, an old blogger, and just leave it at that. And just wait a couple more days till this story fades away. That's their plan, isn't it? So we had another country fall victim to the Zelensky curse. Moldova. Moldovan government called it quits. The prime minister came out yesterday and she said the government is collapsing. This was actually expected because Moldova has had a really hard, the government of Moldova has had a really hard go of things. People are very upset with the cost of living, the corruption, all of it that is taking place in Moldova, as well as the constant escalation towards some sort of conflict with Russia, trying to goad Moldova into becoming some sort of second front in a conflict with Russia. And so the people were very upset, not very happy with the Sandu government, and the government has finally collapsed. Now, is a better government, a more representative government, going to come into power? I don't know. I doubt it. I imagine you're going to probably get another government that is pro-EU, pro-West/NATO, but I don't know. Let's give it some time and see what kind of government is formed. The interesting part about this story is that on February 9th, 2 days ago, when Zelensky was in Brussels, he gave a speech, and he was talking to the Parliament in the European Union, and he was talking about Moldova. Surprise, surprise. And Zelensky said during his speech at the European Council, he said that he had Ukrainian intelligence, intercepted intelligence, that alleged, and I quote, a plan of the Russian Federation to destroy the democratic order in Moldova. I recently spoke with Moldovan President Maia Sandu and informed her about what our intelligence service managed to intercept: a detailed Russian plan to destroy the political situation in Moldova, a Russian document that shows who, when, and in the aftermath of what actions is going to break Moldova and the democratic order and establishes control over it, Zelensky said during a speech at the Council of Europe in Brussels on Thursday. Zelensky added that he immediately warned Moldova about all these threats. I immediately warned Moldova about all these threats, and then I told them to give me some money. How did the last part he did say that? He didn't say Moldova, give me some money. But how did Zelensky know? Ukraine intelligence just happened to pick up some information that allegedly Russia was going to cause some trouble, and that would lead to the downfall of the government. And one day later, lo and behold, the government collapses. And so what's the narrative here? Well, Russia did it. Russia did it. You see? So that was interesting, I thought. Obviously, Zelensky got tipped off and was told about everything that's going to happen, and they prepared the script, the narrative, to blame it all on Russia and not blame it on the fact that Sandu and her government were running Moldova into the ground and pushing Moldova into some sort of conflict with Russia. Forget about that. Don't put the blame on the fact that she was doing a terrible job. Blame it on Putin instead. So that was big news. Another government falls due to the Zelensky curse. And so yesterday you had missile strikes, a whole lot of missile strikes in Ukraine. I think 106 missiles were launched. But I also read statements from the Ukraine military that they took out 60 of 71 missiles. There were also a lot of drones that were launched across Ukraine. So I'm not quite sure what the count of missiles was, to be quite honest, that hit Ukraine yesterday. But they did quite a lot of damage. And the Russian armed forces, they claim that they struck a massive blow to the critical energy facilities that ensure the operation of Ukrainian defense industry enterprises in Ukraine during this missile strike. And this is coming from the Ministry of Defense reports. And something else interesting happened during this strike in Ukraine yesterday, and that is that a bridge in Odessa was destroyed as well. And from what I understand, according to information and video that's come out, the bridge that was destroyed was done with an underwater drone. An underwater drone hit the bridge, and we do have video of the bridge being destroyed. I'm not sure if this is the first big strike against a bridge in Ukraine. Probably not, but in Odessa, I don't think they've targeted bridges in Odessa. This may be the first time that they're targeting bridges in Odessa. The bridge was the Zatoka bridge, the bridge in Zatoka. That was what they hit. So I think that's an interesting bit of news. I'm not sure what that signals, what that means. Let me know in the comments down below what you think it means, the fact that they hit a bridge in Odessa. But I think it's a bit of a change in tactics from just drones hitting energy and electric infrastructure. You now have an underwater drone hitting a bridge. A very interesting development. Now, Zelensky, he claimed that during the missile barrage yesterday that missiles crossed over Moldova and Romania. Russian missiles crossed into the airspace of Moldova and Romania. And Zelensky, he said that this was a challenge to NATO. His words, a challenge to NATO. Obviously, Zelensky is trying to once again, like in the case of the missile that landed in Poland, that hit the farmland in Poland, Zelensky is trying to drag NATO into some sort of conflict with Russia. He called the missiles flying over the airspace of Romania and Moldova a NATO challenge. A NATO challenge, his direct quote. The interesting part about this is that while Zelensky was calling this a NATO challenge and trying to goad NATO into some sort of conflict with Russia by saying that Russian missiles crossed over the airspace of Romania and Moldova, Romania came out with a statement, an official statement, and they denied the entry of missiles over the airspace of Romania. They completely denied this story that the missiles crossed over territory in Romania. As Zelensky was trying to goad NATO into conflict with Russia by making up the story that the missiles crossed over Romania, the Romanian government said, never happened. Did not happen. Oh man, this guy is dangerous. He is very, very dangerous. So let's do one more story, and then we'll do a clown world. By the way, Biden is going to ask Congress for the largest ever defense budget for 2024, which will include the cost of replenishing U.S. arsenals that they've depleted from giving them all to Zelensky. You see how all of this works? The military-industrial complex, they are about to make a whole lot of money. And the U.S. is going to have a huge military budget to replenish its arsenals. The same thing is going to happen across Europe as well. Every EU country is going to come out with similar statements and similar big military spending budgets to fight Russian aggression, to replenish their arsenals. And the military-industrial complex, well, you can't get any better news than that, can you? So I thought that was an interesting story. But what I really want to talk about before we get into our clown world is this Paris Olympic boycott of not only Russian athletes, but Belarusian athletes as well. Now, why they want to boycott, why they want to deny Belarusian athletes from competing in the Olympics, I don't know why they want to deny Russian athletes, but anyway, they lump Belarusian athletes in there as well. I think is just, I don't know what to say. I was going to say it's bigoted, racist. I don't know, but I don't see why they have to lump in Belarus with this drive to ban athletes. But either way, I'm against them banning Russian, Belarusian. I don't think they should ban any athletes from the Olympics. I don't understand what the sports has to do with the politics. Did they ban U.S. athletes when U.S. waged its war against Iraq, Syria, against Serbia? Did those athletes from the U.S. or NATO countries, were they banned? Were UK and French athletes banned when they destroyed Libya? No. So the plan was to allow Russian and Belarusian athletes to compete in the Paris Olympics, but they can't represent their country. They're going to be without a flag and without an anthem. But that's not enough for King Zelensky. Not enough. Zelensky is demanding more. And so we had a conference of like 35 countries that got together, and Zelensky spoke to these 35 countries. And the goal of this coalition is to put pressure on the Olympic Committee to completely ban Russian athletes and Belarusian athletes, to not let them compete at all in the Olympics. I think the Paris mayor is actually very receptive to this idea. She has to virtue signal to King Zelensky, the clown king. But Zelensky he's pushing for this, or at least the people on top of him are ordering him to push for this. And so he gave a speech to the representatives of these 35 countries, and he called for them to unite and to press the Olympic Committee to completely boycott Russian and Belarusian athletes. And I have some statements here. And I think there's an interesting statement. And I'm taking this from the New Delhi Times. And they have an interesting quote, if I can find it, from, here we go, the Norwegian Minister of Culture and Equality, Annette Tretbergstuen, who said, It was far too early to think about a boycott, but added that it was strange and provocative for the IOC to consider allowing Russian athletes to compete. Quote, in a Russian context, there is no difference between sport and politics, and any sports performance is pure propaganda, Tretbergstuen told Norwegian newspaper VG, saying the athletes should be able to compete as neutrals. Neutrality is not possible. It's a dead end. So her argument is that in Russia and in Belarus, it's impossible to separate the athletics from politics because you know how those Russians are, right? Impossible. You just can't do it. So her argument is that since you can't separate the politics and the athletes because it's all propaganda, all Russian propaganda, all athletes from Russia are just propagandists, you have to ban them completely. Because Russia is the only country in the world, and Belarus is the only country in the entire world that, I don't know, their athletes, if they win a gold medal, are like invited to, I don't know, say the president or the prime minister's residence. Only Russia does that. In the United States, athletes never, ever, ever go to the White House and meet, the president of the United States. That never happens. And athletes, they never, ever make political statements. Like never, ever, ever in the United States or in any country in the collective West. In the collective West, it's a clean separation between athletics and politics. It's a no propaganda zone, right? No propaganda at all in the collective West. But Russia, you simply cannot separate the athletes and the politics. It's impossible. It's just the way the Russian culture is, What did I say back there? I think I said racist or bigoted or something. And the reason I bring up a quote from Norway is because if you ask me, if I was sitting as a representative of one of these 35 countries that was taking part in this conference with Zelensky, goading them, ordering them to ban Russia, I would sit there and I would say, given everything that happened with Nord Stream, we should probably ban Norway and the United States from competing in the Olympics. Just saying. If you believe what Cy Hirsch has reported, well, I don't know. That's some pretty serious stuff. Maybe they should not be allowed to compete in the Olympics. Or if you're the IOC chairman, like if you're the head honcho at the Olympic Committee and you have 35 countries complaining about your decision to allow Russian and Belarus athletes to compete in the Olympics without a flag, without an anthem, but you allow them to compete, but they still are busting your you-know-what, I would just tell them, if you don't want to show up at the Olympic Games, don't show up. If you don't like it, don't come. That's what I would say. You have a problem with Russian athletes competing in the Olympics as neutral athletes. You have a problem with that? Then don't come. Stay at home. But that can't happen because the Olympics is also a political organization taken over by the collective West. And so Zelensky, with his demands, and I imagine he's going to be successful in pressuring the Olympic Committee to ban Russia and Belarus, Zelensky is going to ruin the Olympics once and for all. And therein is the problem with Zelensky, is that every time he asks for money and for weapons and he barks orders at all these institutions and countries and you name it, he becomes more and more disliked. And people are getting sick of him. And so he is going to ruin the Olympic Games. No doubt about it, he's going to ruin the Olympic Games. Sooner or later, Russia, Belarus, China, India, the 80% of the other world, of the entire world, the 80%, they're just going to say, you know what? We're just going to do our own Olympics. See you later. That'll be that. And that'll be that. It'll be two different sporting events. 80% of the planet will have their games, and 20%, the collective West, will have their games. And that's how it's going to be. Thank you, Zelensky. Or the people that told Zelensky to do this. So let's do a clown world, and we will wrap this video up. And in this clown world, I am going to read you a quote from the Estonian Prime Minister, Kallas, the Estonian Prime Minister. And she said that Estonia is going to be giving 10 fighter jets to Ukraine. They're going to be making the move. They're going to be one of the first countries to say we're in, and we're going to give 10 F-16s to Ukraine. How about that? Take that, Poland. Take that, UK and France. You see, we're not playing around. As Prime Minister of Estonia, I'm not messing around. I'm all in with Zelensky. And Estonia is going to give him 10 F-16s. Quote, I am very pleased to announce that today Estonia has handed over 10 F-16 fighter jets to Kiev. While other countries are in doubt, we are providing assistance. Unfortunately, we do not have the planes themselves. Unfortunately, we do not have the planes themselves. This is a question for those who have them. Estonia does not have them. Otherwise, we would give everything we have, she said, answering a question about the possible transfer of fighter jets to Ukraine. This is a great clown world. I love this clown world. I love this clown world. We're going to give you 10 fighter jets. We don't have them, but we're going to give you... Why do you stop at 10? Come on, Prime Minister. Why 10? You should have said like 10,000. As Prime Minister of Estonia, I announced today that I am going to be handing over 10,000 F-16s to Zelensky. 10,000. That's right. I don't have the 10,000, but I'm going to hand over 10,000. I don't have them, but take them. Listen up, everybody. I want to give everybody that's watching this video, I want to give everybody that's watching this video $10 million. Everybody. That's what I'm going to do for all of you. I don't have $10 million for all of you, but, you know, hey. Oh, man. Anyway, that's the video, guys. TheDurand.locals.com. We are on Rockfin as well. And go to the Durand shop, 10% off. Use the code GOODDAY. Take care.